Well, folks, we knew that Marjorie Taylor Greene being put on a committee was going to be a disaster. She did not disappoint. So that you know what we're talking about, take a look at this clip of her talking to Gene Dodaro, the Comptroller General of the United States of America.
Dodaro, can you tell me how much COVID cash went to CRT?
CRT?
Critical race theory in education. It's a racist curriculum used to teach children that somehow their white skin is not equal to black skin and other things in education.
Yeah. No, I do not know that, but I do know that there's provisions that the federal funds generally are not used, are supposed to be used for curriculum.
Oh.
That's a state.
Oh, Mr. Dodaro, I have to tell you, in Illinois, they received $5.1 billion at an elementary school there that used it for equity and diversity. So it's being used for these things.
Yeah, okay. Let's start with the $5.1 billion number, okay? I looked and looked and looked and could not find that figure anywhere. I looked everywhere. I couldn't find it. She pulled it out of her ass. She did. She did. And she asked the Comptroller General of the United States to answer for it. Folks, if you don't know what a comptroller is, a lot of people don't. It's the inner sausage of making the government work. The comptrollers, the GAO, is the government's accounting service. They keep track of where the funds go. And she's talking to this guy about a fictitious number, something she just pulled out of her butt. And after searching and searching and searching for it, I got to tell you, to his credit, Manny over there at MSNBC, he found it. He found it. And yeah, she pulled it out of her ass. Watch this clip.
The idea that one school in Illinois got $5 billion to teach equity and diversity is insane, so I decided to see where she's getting these numbers from. It turns out in 2021, the federal government issued education-related COVID relief funds to every state, and Illinois specifically received $5 billion. The state's plan mentions equity and diversity to describe how they'll respond to the impacts of COVID-19, which has nothing to do with an actual curriculum for students. Not only that, but she claims that only one school received this $5 billion CRT check.
Yeah, she pulled it right out of her butt. She just pasted some shit together to, you know, that complete and utter fiction. And worse, she says at the end, it's a racist curriculum used to teach children that their white skin, talking about CRT, of course, that their white skin is not equal to black skin and other things. Let me read that to you again. CRT, it's a racist curriculum used to teach children that their white skin is not equal to black skin and other things. There is so much wrong with that. I mean, so much wrong with that. First of all, she has a staff, okay? Everything I find, I dig up on my own. She has a staff to prepare things for her. For her to come up with this definition for CRT with a staff supporting her is a damn disgrace. It just tells you what Republicans are doing up there on the Hill. They're just fucking off is what they're doing. They're just doing nothing serious at all. You know, and to think that, first of all, she mentions it to teach children. CRT is not taught in a single public school in this country. Not one. Not one. It's taught in universities. Last count, there were 5 universities that had CRT as an elective course, an advanced elective course. So these are grown-ass adults taking this course. So it's not teaching children anything. And it has nothing to do with white skin or black skin. It just has to do with our history. It teaches about the systemic racism that black folks had to put up with. It has nothing to do with what's better, black or white or whatever. It's just what happened. So that we can have an understanding when we make policies where we're coming from and what different people had to deal with to get here. I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? If you want to make policy, you need accurate information. And CRT is accurate information, even though if it is unpleasant to learn that Our history was not that Daughters of the Confederacy bullshit that we were all fed in school. You know, folks, it's come to Jesus time in this country. It's come to reality time. If we want to be the best country in the world, if we want to go to that next level, we've got to start dealing with reality and what our history was and where people are coming from. Because if we're going to go to that next level, it's got to be all of us going together. That's the only way we get there. Then it didn't end there, folks. It didn't end there. She had another clip on here. Let's play it about the drag show.
Darrow, can you tell me how much money was given to Drag Queen Story Hour?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Who?
Drag Queen Story Time, where men dress up as women and read confusing books to children.
Yeah. First, I thought you said dry clean. So, I'm sorry. No, I don't know the answer to either one of those two.
We need to look into this, and I urge you to do that. Bradbury Sullivan LGBT Community Center in Pennsylvania received $16,000 for Drag Queen Story Time from COVID cash. I think this is an issue that needs to be looked into. A lot of this money went to things that should have never gone to, and I thank you so much, and I yield back the remainder of my time.
Okay, here we go again. Drag story time. Oh my God, these right-wingers just live. And keep in mind, she has a staff. She has a staff. What she's referring to there, and I knew exactly where that $16,000 number came from. And again, keep it in the frame of mind that she's having this conversation with the Comptroller General of the United States of America. Where that $16,000 number comes from, so that you can know what we're talking about. We had the American Rescue Plan, ARP. Remember those checks that you got during COVID to try to keep the economy rolling when people were at home and not working, and we got those stimulus checks? That came out of ARP. It was supposed to be a $2 trillion plan. Ended up being a $1 trillion plan because the Republicans made a bunch of demands to have it peeled back, and then they didn't vote for it. That, I'm sure you remember that. I know this because I did a story on that. What she's talking about is ARP, the American Rescue Plan. Rental assistance came out of ARP. Remember when folks were saying that, you know, hey, we can't pay our rent because we're not working, and the landlords were saying, hey, we got notes to make, the banks are going to foreclose on us. So the government stepped in. They created the rental assistance program. It wasn't just the checks. They purchased PPE for local governments that couldn't afford it because PPE was astronomically expensive, if you remember, during the height of COVID. They had the advanced child tax credit program in ARP. Way to go, Joe. I mean, just item after item after item that kept our country functioning while shut down from COVID. They had the state and local fiscal recovery program. That was your first responders, folks, and your trash collectors, and everybody that had to go out and had to work during COVID. Municipalities weren't bringing in taxes to pay these people. It was a financial nightmare, so they created the state and local fiscal recovery program, the SLFRF. It's what paid your cops. It's what paid your firemen when we were all locked down and shut down. Then we had the National Endowment for the Humanities when we were opening back up. Everything got hurt during COVID. Everything got shut down. Museums, theaters, everything, fine arts. It all got shut down. So the National Endowment for the Humanities got and this is where the $16,000 comes in, okay? Got a $135 million grant out of the ARP plan, $135 million. It was a $1 trillion plan. They got $135 million. Again, to reopen entertainment, fine arts, so you could go see Hamilton again and whatnot. So the way they did it was they created humanities councils, and they created a $51.6 million fund. That's a nationwide fund. That's not going to one place. That's a nationwide fund And the Pennsylvania Humanities Council ended up getting 1.4 million, which is pretty good. If you figure 50 states, they did almost 1.5 million. That's a big state. You know? They got a pretty good grant there. And out of that $1.4 million, the Bradbury Sullivan LGBTQ Community Center in Allentown, Pennsylvania, got a $16,000 total grant to reopen, to turn the lights on, to do. It wasn't for drag story time or anything like that. It was just a general fund to help fund entertainment for a community that needs to be served. Allentown has a gay community. They need someplace safe to go. They also promote, interaction. They promote understanding and learning. That's where these drag story times come from. And I don't really understand the angst about that. That's what this is about. It's to teach understanding. And she says, oh, well, they read confusing books. No, they don't. Everybody that reads the books understands what they are. One of the books that she pulled this number from a Fox News story. And they told you some of the books that this community center reads. One of them is Two Princes. It's about two princes that fall in love. That's not confusing. Not confusing for the people that read it, not confusing for the kids, not confusing for anybody. Everybody there knows what's going on. What's confusing is somebody that would be ignorant enough to think that CRT that isn't taught to children is to somehow teach white children that they're less than black children. I could see how they could come up with a perverted, weird, twisted, sick, and that's it. That's really it. We have a member of Congress in Marjorie Taylor Greene, the elevator flagellator, who does things like talk like this and talk about things like farts. I'm not kidding. Look it up. People send them to Congress. This has to stop, people. This has to stop. The Republican Party is a joke. They are a joke. They're fucking useless. This is the kind of thing they do. Stop it. End it. Don't send them into our government anymore. The government does serious work, folks. The Comptroller General does serious work for us on our behalf. He is our top accountant. He does serious work. Let him do his job and not deal with idiots like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Don't send these people to Congress anymore. I love you, folks. This is Old Texas Paul out. You have a wonderful day.
The best part of waking up? MAGA Tears in my cup. Check out the new MAGA Tears mug available now at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.